You're probably wondering right now, what is it? What does it take to be a CBP agent, right? Customs and Border Protection Officer. So what does that mean? Well, the first thing is not a job. It's truly a mission. It's a career. It demands physical strength. It demands mental tolerance. It demands an unwavering integrity. So that's a big issue nowadays, especially when you wear the uniform, is integrity. You have to be an integrity-filled person. You're just not protecting the border, you're protecting the nation. And it doesn't, I know it may sound corny, but it's very true. When I wore the uniform, I was very cognizant. I was the first line of defense. That's the same for you. When you put on that uniform, you're the first line of defense. You're there to protect our way of life and people who you might not never meet. You're there to keep them safe. But here's the truth though. Not everyone is built for this. Not everyone can do it because the process is tough. It's not for everybody. It's not an easy process. The expectations are high and the job has even higher stakes. I kid you not, it has higher stakes. If you're serious about this path you're going to take, you just can't hope to pass the test. The test is the first thing you must get through, is that test. This is why for the past 4 years, I've updated and created and updated my test to help you pass. I have a 91% success rate from people who take my test and then take the actual CBP test and they pass at a 91% rate. That's astounding success because I know what I'm doing. I know how to gather the information. Then you're going to have the polygraph test. Now the polygraph is kind of hard because people are not used to being inquired about with some very personal questions or habits that you may have. Here's the key to the polygraph test. Here's the key. The polygrapher knows you're human. They know you're going to have some habits or behaviors or something in the past that might bother you as a human being, as a woman, as a man, whatever, right? But they know that. The way to pass the polygraph test is to be honest. They may ask you things that seem very crazy almost, right? But you have to answer those questions honestly. Things you do when you're alone, right? Things you do, sometimes you might think about stuff, right? They might ask you those questions, answer honestly, because there's a connection. When you first turn in your resume, your application, right? You're answering questions there. Those are going to connect to the interview, right? And then the interview connects to the polygraph test, and they scrub all three. If there's any inconsistencies in your answers, you're not going to get called back or go to the next step in the process. So from the get-go, be who you are, be human, and answer everything honestly. Now, you have to understand that the academy is going to shape you, get you out of that civilian mindset where maybe you don't claim responsibility or you don't understand how a clock works, meaning that you live by the clock, right? And things that happen, you have to take responsibility. We see a lot in the civilian world where people try to pass the buck. Can't do that in uniform. When I wore the uniform, it was always my responsibility whether I got a good deal or a bad deal, right? I owned it. The academy teaches you stuff like that. You need to understand that's how that works. You also need to say to yourself, are you ready to serve your country? Truly serve your country with honor. Are you the person that they're looking for? If you answer yes to all those, right? And you can see yourself one day wearing the badge and the uniform and protecting this nation. If you want to get the head start that so many people don't get. So what do I mean by that? A lot of guys say, yeah, I want to be a BPP, CBP, or whatever. They go take that test and they don't make it at all. They just flunk out, boom, gone. Are the other part of the guys who take these crazy expensive prep tests, $200, $250, and still don't pass the test? If you're serious, take somebody who understands how this test works. I don't have the exact answers, but my prep test prepares you for any question coming your way because you are being conditioned with the prep test how to answer it. So how do I do that? Half of my tests, of the 115 questions, half are situational. So why do I do that? A situational means if this happens, then what? What would you do? How do you behave? How do you react? The reason why is because it ties into the interview. The interview for CBP is unique, right? It's not like your regular run-of-the-mill interview. It is designed on purpose to be heavy on situational and light on everything else. Because they're trying to understand your character before you even wear the uniform, before you go to the academy, before you have your polygraph. They are already breaking you apart at the interview phase. Understand? If you take the test I have below, it will prepare you for the interview. It's a dual fold type process I have for you in the prep exam I have in the link below. To date, I have 2,000 people who've taken my pre-test. Of that, 91% pass the first time. If you're serious about your career in CBP, you really want to be a CBP officer, think about that. My goal at the end of the day is to make sure you pass that test, go to your interview, start the polygraph, and go down that road of success. But none of that counts if you do not pass that test. The investment is tiny. It's not 250, it's not 100, it's not even 50. The investment is tiny because I want you to do well. I want you to pass the test. I want you to understand how the test works. There's a reason why it's designed the way I designed it for you to pass. I want you to be a CBP agent. That's what I want. I have got over 400 emails of thank you, I appreciate it, so on and so forth. Over 400. And I'm proud about that. It's time to stop thinking about being a CBP agent. It's time to click the link below, take that test, learn from it, learn how to do it. You get instant results back on the test. You get an instant percentage back, and you get an email from me, personally from me, an email. Let's do it out there. You can do it. Take care.